I've had a few old men's shirts lying around that I haven't used for a while. Back from when I used to just buy thrifted men's shirts because I like the patterns and also because I used to mostly wear baggy, oversized clothes. But now that I'm learning how to sew, I can try to make these into designer-inspired shirts that are way too expensive for me. So in this mini 3-part series, I'm turning each of these 3 shirts into various different designs. I sketched out a few ideas of various shirts I've seen on Pinterest or through different designer labels. I'm treating each shirt as a different character, and each shirt needs to fit a different purpose in my closet. Our first contender for today's video is this gingham checkered shirt. I'm going for something soft and romantic with a form-fitting bodice, with particular inspiration drawn from this Sandy Liang shirt. So let's get started. I'm starting out with a self-drafted bodice that has 2 pieces made up in the front. I cut out the center front so that it aligns with the buttons and the buttonholes so that I can skip this step for later. Working smarter, not harder. The back I'm cutting out on the fold. Drawing in the darts. And stitching them down. Next, I attach the center front and the side fronts, right sides together, and press out. After attaching the front and back together, I saw that the neckline wasn't quite shaped how I wanted it to, so I needed to go in and cut it down further. Next, I trace around the neckline to form a shape for some facing for the back and the front, and cut that out on some white cotton fabric. Once back and front of the facing pieces are sewn together, I attach it to the neckline right sides together and sew down. Then, overlocking the raw edge of the facing, I understitch the facing side to the shirt so that it won't flip out, and then press everything down. I wanted to add a nice frilly detail to the front, so I cut out a few strips of fabric that I then sew together as a bias tape. Then attempt to sew a tiny rolled hem on each side, as I wanted to prevent bulk and keep the flounciness of the piece. I sew down 2 rows of gathering stitches in the middle, gathered, and placed around the neckline. After stitching down to the neckline, I unpicked the gathering stitches. For the sleeves, I wanted to keep them very simple. I just marked the size of my new armhole on the sleeve, marking the quarter length sleeve that I wanted. Cut, and stitch down the new size of the sleeve, finishing with an overlock stitch. Then pinning the sleeve to the armhole, and sewed everything down. For the cuff, I just made sure to cut out a strip that fit to the edge of the sleeve, which I, after sewing together, pressed in half, and then attached the cuff to the sleeve right sides together. I then folded the inside of the cuff in and did a sink stitch by hand to finish everything off. Second to last step before hemming the bottom was adding in a few more buttons and buttonholes, and then we're done. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out in the end. I self-drafted this bodice and made quite a few mistakes in doing so I still have quite a bit to learn with pattern making, but with some adjustments, this turned out pretty well. So stay tuned for my 2 next creations, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!